Well, there cannot be peace without justice. I'm not calling for mayhem. They are the ones who have introduced mayhem into the polity. I'm not the one who woke up yesterday and decided that a governor, whether democratically elected or selected, he's the governor of the state, should be removed. And a sole administrator is put in place immediately. And they can't even wait for the National Assembly, which I consider to be, pardon my word, useless, to take a position on the matter. And they went straight to what they wanted, that is to release the allocation of the state to a person who is illegitimate, who has not been voted for by people of Rivers State. And that's the first pronouncement they made, and now we can release the money to you. Initially, the Supreme Court said, we are stopping allocation until you resolve certain democratic principles. But now we move from those democratic principles to total lack of democracy. And we're going to, whomever is thinking that National Assembly is going to come back and say, well, we disagree with this, I have a bridge to sell to you. Nothing is going to happen. The National Assembly is not even as, it has no say in this. They're just waiting for them to wrap up. I think they're waiting for the numbers. Even if they don't get up to the numbers they want, they will give you some justification, and this is fait accompli for Nigerian people. But to come back to your question about why I'm happy because maybe this is going to force Nigerians across the country to wake up. I think they have been too complacent, they've been too quiet, they've been too docile. Maybe it's as a result of cowardice. And more and more people are saying that there's need for everybody to join hands together and liberate this country, because we can't just keep believing that this country will make progress when, as a matter of fact, those who are expected to bring progress are completely anti-progress. They are moving in the opposite direction of what ought to be their role in our society. So that's why I'm happy that, maybe this will force Nigerians to complete the 30 days challenge and move on to where they should be. There should be complete revolt. And that is not me saying that I love anarchy. I'm saying that I love justice. And justice cannot be a piece of the graveyard in Nigeria.
Mr. Sowore, so the argument of the Attorney General yesterday, which I would like you to speak to, because sometimes, depending on who you're listening to, people pull up strawman argument, yeah, which is that fallacy of strawman argument to put their position out and logically try to win their own, maybe their own audience, or have a premise to defend what they've done in terms of their decision. So the dramatic personnel here is saying is the governor and the members of the House of Assembly who have refused to come together to sort themselves out. So their argument is to the effect that when the dramatic personnel are those that should bring peace and stability and even call for a state of emergency are the ones at the forefront of the crisis. What should they do? We can argue about law, but that is their logic. What do you say to that?
Well, I think Nigeria has had a crisis of attorney generals enabling impunity and illegality. One of the biggest crises I ever faced this country was the annulment of the June 12 election. It came from an advice, or series of advice, given by Attorney General. Each time there is some kind of crisis bedeviling this country, some kind of impunity, draconian laws, and some kind of dictatorship that stands in the way of logic, the person that you see quickly is the Attorney General of the Federation. Maybe we should start looking at that very evil office. And it doesn't matter who the person is, the moment they become the Attorney General, they could be sensible, logical, they could be brilliant, but some kind of toga of impunity is what they wear, and they rub it on the face of the Nigerian people. How can the Attorney General come out and say this is right when we all know that this is a terrible, terrible mistake made by the president or whomever decided on this, because I don't think would Nigeria know who is the president of their country. It depends on what they want. As of now, it looks like the person who's president is the FCT minister. So maybe there's a rotational presidency depending on interest. But the Attorney General was wrong. I'm sure he knew he was wrong, but do they care? Who cares? They don't care about you. They would do it, get away with it, and they know you will move on. And they too have moved on as we speak. So I'm just hoping that Nigerians will not let this slide, and several other infractions and infringements on their fundamental rights.
Mr. Sowore, I hope that...
They will not let things just slide this time around.
Okay,
but,
I hope that when you say you're not...
Nigerians,
just a moment,
probably have moved on already.
Just a moment. I hope when you say you will not let... Nigerians should not let this slide, you are not calling for anarchy. Because whatever we do, we have to do it within the confines of the law.
I don't know why you're gaslighting me with anarchy. What just happened is anarchy in Rivers State. Somebody just imposed his friend on a state that have elected officials. They've sent soldiers down there, they've driven out the governor. That's anarchy. So why are you gaslighting me with anarchy? If there's anarchy, it is the one that the federal government imposed on Rivers State. The response of the people is not something you should use to gaslight people like me. I don't care about labels. If they are the ones calling for anarchy and they get it, so be it.
Well, evidence doesn't suggest that they are calling for anarchy or that they have subscribed to anarchy.
They just imposed anarchy. They just imposed a state
their interpretation of the Constitution may be debatable,
conversation you've had,
but
every conversation
they haven't
you've had this
particularly
morning points to the fact that what they're doing is wrong and is lawless. That is what they call anarchy.